The United Association of Mobile Contract Cleaners is a national, not-for-profit organization formed with a primary goal to educate power washing contractors in the latest methods and processes to keep our environment clean and educate the public regarding the health and safety service we provide. We enlist local contractors around the nation to help provide us with a database of all local BMPs and regulations so that we can inform contractors of their legal responsibility. Our goal is zero discharge to the MS4 nationwide whenever possible and practicable as the law requires. When off-property discharge is the only option, we promote responsible reclamation of runoff and discharge into the POTW, or alternative treatment systems, following the individual rules and guidelines of our local authorities. We, as professional contractors, are in the business of cleaning our environment. Most of us have a passion for cleanliness and for providing a clean place for our families to live, work, shop, and play. We work hard to strive a balance between keeping our services affordable while, at the same time, keeping our environment safe. We are a part of the pollution solution. Debris from trees, metals and oils from automobiles, and a host of other contaminants sit in waiting for a storm to wash them into our storm drains. Regular street sweeping removes many of those contaminants before they get a chance to clog our storm drain channels and pollute our waters. Street sweeping has proven to be an effective BMP for reducing pollution because it has a net positive effect. Professional power washers pre-clean areas removing debris for eventual disposal in the landfill. They work in conjunction with parking lot sweeping contractors and time their service to sweep debris and garbage into the open areas of the parking lots for complete removal by the sweepers. Frequent cleaning results in a higher level of pollution prevention, reducing buildup of garbage, debris, and contaminants that are more difficult to deal with and take more time to clean. This produces a net positive effect for our environment. The Clean Water Act is a sensible regulation designed to reduce pollution that plagued our waterways with all sorts of hazardous waste as recently as the 70s. From the beginning, the Act was designed to reduce pollutants to the greatest extent practicable. This simply means that situations need to be evaluated and pollution must be reduced to the extent that it can be without bringing the nation to a grinding halt. The power washing industry is not a huge industry cutting corners to make more money for their shareholders. The bulk of our industry consists of small, family-owned businesses who work hard to keep our environment clean. Trade-offs are inevitable. A modern society has to make trade-offs. The NPDES permit system is one of those trade-offs. It allows our nation to continue to produce products necessary for 350 million people to live in a modern society, yet sets guidelines for what is an acceptable trade-off. Acceptability is limited by what is practicable. For example, it would be effective to shut down sewage plants to eliminate the potential threat that might come by flooding or emergency release of sewage. But it wouldn't be practicable. The end effect would be a negative effect on society as a whole. Prior to the Clean Water Act, only about a third of the U.S. water was safe for swimming or fishing. The rest was fouled by sewage, oil, pesticides, and heavy metals. 30% of tap water samples exceeded federal limits for certain chemicals. Tremendous strides have been made in 40 years. Now 65% of U.S. waterways pass the fishable, swimmable test, and over 90% of U.S. community water systems meet all applicable health-based standards. Over the years, as the larger waste-producing industries and treatment plants have become more and more modern, and pollution has been reduced tremendously over what we saw 40 years ago, attention has been turned to smaller and smaller potential sources of pollution. This is a good thing. as long as the original idea of reducing pollution to the greatest extent practicable remains the rule of thumb. Power washing. History proves the need. Power washing is the one industry where the net positive effect of trade-offs is self-evident. Most of us have heard of Nostradamus. He was the prophecy guy. But what many do not know is that he was a doctor. In the 1300s, Nostradamus almost single-handedly wiped out the Black Plague. He was the first to recognize the value of keeping streets and public areas clean. Once he ordered regular cleaning of public walks and streets, the plague disappeared, almost overnight. By the 1800s and early 1900s, the lessons of the Black Plague had all but been forgotten. The streets were filthy and dead horses were left to rot in place. It was not till later, in the mid-1900s, that scientific discoveries proved that Nostradamus was right all along, and we, as a civilized society, began the movement towards cleaning our environment. Localized cleaning of public areas where our families meet and our children play were the first steps taken to ensure the health and safety of the populace. This is what we do. Most professional power washers in the U.S. clean sidewalks, entryways, dumpster pads, moldy houses, algae-infested roofs, driveways, vehicles, and wood structures. We reduce trash, debris, smells, bugs, rodents, and slip and fall injuries. We are a health and safety industry. One of the most practicable methods of complying with the Clean Water Act is to simply keep everything on the private property. This is an effective way to keep our environment clean in the vast majority of commercial cleaning applications. Most modern properties are already built in a way that makes compliance simple for power washers. For example, many malls, shopping centers, strip malls, and many restaurants are already built so that drainage goes away from the MS4. Many have treatment built in ranging from retention or detention ponds to grassy vegetative areas all the way up to built-in interceptors. Sweeping contracts for these facilities reduce the cost of cleaning by allowing evaporation to take care of the water while sweepers remove any leftover dust. The two industries work hand in hand and produce a synergy that protects the environment. This combination of these two industries works day and night to keep our stormwater conveyance clean. Few commercial cleaning contracts have the potential for direct discharge into the street or storm drain in this day and age. Power washing organizations like the UAMCC help professional power washers to keep up with the latest methods to deal with those situations should hazardous materials be involved. Reclamation of the water is an expensive proposition in many cases and has environmental trade-offs of its own. Yet, professional power washers keep reclamation equipment on hand for just those situations. The vast majority of commercial cleaning outside the fleet washing industry is dedicated to keeping our sidewalks and public access areas clean. Soda pop spills, dropped or discarded food, gum, cigarette butts, and general refuse compose the bulk of the contaminants we clean. These items left to nature draw bugs, rodents, and produce foul smells. Hot water cleaning breaks it up into harmless debris that is easily captured and leaves clean surfaces for our feet to walk on and, in many cases, for our children to play on. Most of the large debris is taken care of in the pre-clean methods professional contractors are taught in wash water control certification schools. Large debris is swept up, bagged, and placed in dumpsters provided by the property owner. The thin layer of dirt and spills are then cleaned as needed. The most common method is using hot water and a surface cleaner that employs two pressure washing nozzles spinning at a high rate of speed to clean the concrete thoroughly. A surface cleaner provides concentrated cleaning right at the ground where it is needed so that every drop counts. Runoff from this type of cleaning is minimal and taken care of in two general ways. In many jurisdictions, the requirement under the law is that we screen or filter the runoff through a mesh screen or a boom much like the construction industry does. In some cases, if we think there may be traces of oil spots on the site, we also gravity filter the water through oil socks. Once the water has been filtered this way, the resulting clean, oil-free water is free to enter the storm drain in many jurisdictions, including the Bay Area around San Francisco. It is a simple, effective way to keep our storm drains clean. Without the benefit of power washing, these contaminants, including the garbage and debris, would inevitably end up in the storm drains and eventually in our waterways. Another health and safety issue power washers deal with for the public is cleaning refuse areas. Dirty dumpster pads can be a breeding ground for insects, rodents, and in some areas, raccoons, which can pose a threat to children. Most dumpsters, like sidewalks, have little more than garbage and spilled food and drinks. In most cases, these can be handled in a similar manner to sidewalks. Frequent cleaning by professional power washing contractors result in a net positive effect on the environment by removing garbage, debris, and spills that would have eventually washed into the storm drains during a rain event. Many professional power washers serve the community by cleaning residential homes. They clean algae or mold off of the sides of our homes and off our roofs, especially in the warmer, more humid climates. This type of natural growth reduces the lifespan of paint and roofs. Cleaning them lengthens the duty cycle and results in less frequent repainting and roof replacement. Most of the runoff for these types of activities goes safely into the landscape areas where nature filters the small amounts of water that are used in these activities. Oil spots in driveways and garages are normally treated with dry compounds, which are deposited in the trash. Misconception, reclamation, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Trading non-existent water pollution for real air pollution. Reclaiming water looks simple at first glance, especially as presented by those who are in the business of selling such equipment. Reclaiming water in many power washing situations is a lose-lose situation for everyone involved. For example, the entry at the local shopping center near your home is, or should be, cleaned at least twice per month. Let's take two real-world scenarios. An example of one grocery store's normal service, cleaned 2 times per month. Power washers pre-clean, coordinates with sweeper schedule, uses only hot water to clean, 30 minutes, 120 gallons of water, affordable for the store. The local store and industry run on 1 to 5% margins. Entrance is cleaned twice per week using best case scenario power washing methods. 1. The area has been surveyed and there is zero exposure to the MS4. The street and storm drain are more than 100 yards from the 100-foot strip of sidewalk to be cleaned. 2. The power washer has already prearranged his schedule to mesh with the parking lot sweeping schedule. They will be right behind him. Since most parking lots are swept nightly, the sweeper is never far behind anyway. 3. Upon arrival, trash is picked up and small debris is swept or blown into the path of the parking lot sweeper. 4. Power washer cleans with hot water and a surface cleaner at 6 gallons per minute using one 20 horsepower motor. 5. The actual cleaning of the 100-foot strip takes 20 minutes using approximately 120 gallons of water, the equivalent of a bathtub. 6. Entrance is clean. Power washer charges $90 to $110, which covers travel time, fuel, labor, taxes, and equipment upkeep, and still leaves a profit. The grocery store's reclaim required. The local grocery store is cleaned in an area where fear of fines and misinformation caused the reclamation of all the water to be required. This happened with the largest retailer nationwide in 2010 and has since been reversed. 1. All the same pre-cleaning prep work is done by the power washer as before. 2. Power washer removes from his truck and sets up pump out equipment at the end run of his cleaning area. He has to vacuum up the water from a pool at the end and pump it out into a landscape area or sewer, usually running pump out hose across the drive area, presenting a trip hazard. 3. Along with this 20 HP pressure washer motor with clean diesel heat, he has to fire up an additional 13 to 25 horsepower vacuum or pump motor to run simultaneously, doubling the emissions. 4. If the local POTW requires a permit to discharge, he has to pay for that. Otherwise, minimum $150 for waste transport. 5. Setup and take down of reclaim equipment doubles the time for the job to 1 hour. 6. Fuel cost is almost doubled. 7. Labor cost is doubled. 8. If a vacuum surface cleaner is used, the time may be decreased slightly, but at the cost of a higher horsepower motor to run the vacuum required for it and the increased fuel cost it brings. 9. Cleaning the 100-foot strip takes 40 minutes, using approximately 120 gallons of water. Costs are doubled. Half as many jobs can be completed in a night, and there are additional costs for upkeep of vacuum, filters, and the motors that run them. 10. Power washer has to charge $200 to $390 for the job, $390 if waste transport required. 11. The grocery store's tight budget only allows for $200 per month for that job, so they switch to service every 2 months. 12. Because of the accumulation of spills, debris, and gum, the monthly job takes 1.5 to 3 times longer than the normal bi-weekly job. End result: our industry uses reclaim equipment on a regular basis in situations where common sense or the law requires it. It takes time to clean the equipment after jobs and costs more than normal power washing equipment to maintain. Yet, it is a tool in our arsenal for use when it is needed, but it is not needed in every case. This has caused confusion and trepidation among store owners and power washers alike, who are being bombarded with the idea that they are just one step away from a $10,000 to $30,000 fine just for cleaning their entryway. 120 gallons of water that would have never made it to the MS4 has been put in the POTW to add to what they already have to treat. 2. The power washing company's profits are reduced sharply, if not eliminated entirely. 3. More contaminants build up between cleanings to be washed down the storm drain during a rain event. 4. The store entryway is dirty 2 weeks out of 4. 5. Air pollution emissions are more than doubled, with 2 units running almost twice as long. 6. Pump-out lines present a new trip hazard. 7. Time in front of the store customers is doubled, adding more of a nuisance factor. 8. Sometimes stores stop power washing entirely or go to quarterly or yearly cleaning because of fear of fines. 9. Everyone suffers, from the power washer and his family down to the family and their children entering the dirty store. Water use, the real story. The second common misconception is that power washing a heavy user of water. Power washing is unfortunately one of the few industries that suffers, even to the point of failure of businesses when states and municipalities incur water shortages. The ability to clean with water is measured in cleaning units. This is an equation that determines how power washing equipment is rated and its ability to clean. The average professional power washers will use a 6-gallon per minute unit at about 3,500 psi. That means that his power to clean in 1 hour is approximately 21,000 cleaning units. If a store or shopping center eliminates professional power washing because costs have doubled with all the reclamation required, many times we have seen that they will simply try to use their own employees and a garden hose. Most garden hoses run at about the same 6 gallons per minute, but at about 60 psi. That gives them 360 cleaning units per hour. That means the power washer has 58 times more cleaning power than the employee with the hose per hour. In the real world, how does this really work out? An example of regular cleaning. I will use a restaurant for example. A restaurant was previously being cleaned every 2 weeks. The sidewalks never had much time to get too dirty, and the drive-through never had much of a chance to build up oil or other fluids. The little bit that was there was easily filtered and diverted to different areas of the landscape for further filtration, never leaving the property. Total cleanup time every 2 weeks was approximately 1 hour, using no more than 360 gallons of water, or the equivalent of a small hot tub. Someone got to the owner and convinced him that having a power washer cleaning his place would draw the attention of the EPA and could result in fines. So he canceled the cleaning contract and now has an employee cleaning the area every morning instead. A comparison between a power washer and store employee. Let's take a look at some of the numbers for comparison. These numbers are exactly why RV parks make rules stating that the only RV or car washing allowed on the property is power washing. When they pay the water bill, they know the costs. Washing with a hose would take 58 times the water to reach the same cleaning units as a pressure washer each hour. This is where we have failed as an industry to put the facts out there regarding what we do and our true water use statistics. Pollution potential in perspective. If you take a desert city like Las Vegas, for example, with 2 million residents and look carefully into the statistics, we can begin to get an idea of the very limited risk power washers pose to our waters in their normal scope of work. At best estimate, on any given day or night, there could be as many as 80 pressure washing rigs working in the Las Vegas metro area. If as many as half of them are working on properties where there is potential outfall into the storm drain and they used no BMPs whatsoever to control the runoff, that means that a maximum of 86,000 gallons of water runs through their combined equipment per day that could potentially get into the storm drain. That's 40 rigs at 6 hours running time per day. Even in the wintertime, more than half of this water will evaporate on site before it even makes it to the street or storm drain, especially when using hot water, which dries and evaporates fast. That brings us to a maximum of 43,000 potential gallons per day in the storm drain. Some surprising facts. How much potential for pollution are we talking about? With an average of 150 million gallons per day entering Lake Mead, that means if every drop of the runoff made it past the mesh or other gravity filtration, the parking lot sweeper, the sun, evaporation, the treatment on site, retention, detention, etc., the treatment along the way, grassy and other purpose-built conveyances, then it would still only represent 0.2 of a thousandth of the daily runoff. And that is assuming they do nothing to filter or prevent the runoff from entering the storm drain system. Put into perspective, causing our families to have to walk through smells and spills because of regulation on an industry that contributes almost no potential pollution to the waterways, one can certainly see why the Clean Water Act used the word practicable in its original language. Power washing, a best management practice. Considering the important health and safety issues at risk, there is no question that power washers need to be able to work and do their jobs keeping our country clean without fear of fines or rising costs that will eliminate their customer base and put them out of business to the detriment of the public. We provide a much needed service to our communities. With your help, we can continue to be a part of the solution. This is the problem. The problem we have had over the past 20 years has been a well-coordinated effort by those who lobby to force us to buy reclaim equipment and to paint us as polluters to the authorities. We have not had a voice in the past. The result has been infrequent cleaning, leaving debris and contaminants to go unfiltered into the storm drains during rain events. Our industry has failed to show the community that we are cleaners, not polluters. This is our problem. We of the UAMCC are the solution. This presentation is a beginning step towards reaching out and reintroducing ourselves to communities as the cleaners and environmentally responsible members of the community that we are in. We provide a much needed health and safety function. We prevent tons of debris from entering our waterways each year. We keep sidewalks, play areas, and dumpsters clean for our kids and your kids. We need your help to spread the word that the power washing industry is a net positive for the environment. In your local area, we ask that you take these facts into consideration and help make sure that overreaching regulations that will do little to nothing to protect the environment do not become a deterrent to our communities and produce the opposite effect of what is intended. Power washers, we are your partners and share the same environmental goals. We are a pollution solution. And thank you.